Final question for you. You've said that you want the deal with AJ to be done by the end of Monday.
Monday is the deadline.
Keep getting asked about young Moses Itauma fighting Oleksandr and fighting other big names. And my opinion is not someone who don't know boxing. My opinion is someone who has been there and won every single belt, won everything there is to win in boxing, and done very well. Boxing is a young man's game. Like I told Vladimir Klitschko when he was 37. Boxing's a young man's game. He waits for nobody. So here's the opinion. You heard it here first. Moses Itauma will wreck all them old men out of the division. Usyk, AJ, Miller, whoever there is who's old, Zhang, whoever else there is, Luis Ortiz, all these big names of the past are all a spent force. And even the world champion now, if they took my belts and give them to Usyk, Moses will wreck him. Because he's young man versus an old man. An old man can't mess with young men. Keep getting asked.
And those are the words of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury and his take on Moses Itauma. And let me counterpunch. There is some truth to what he said with being a young man's sport. This is a young man's sport. I think that because I'm going live here in about 20 minutes. So what he's saying is it's pretty accurate. I don't know about everybody on that list, but when you're younger, you're fresher, you're sharper, you're hungrier, you're everything better when you're younger. You know, Moses Itauma doesn't have the experience, but he has everything else. And I think the reason he doesn't have the experience because he's just young. He hasn't had the opportunity. You know, in order for you to gain the experience, you have to have the opportunity. And him saying that he would beat a lot of those guys, he would beat a lot of those guys. I mean, and I think that's just based on overall youth, you know, but that's why you don't put a guy that fresh in there with someone that's been fighting for the last 10 years, that's been in there with wars, that's got hit 50,000 times a year to the head. You know what I mean? 500,000 times. You don't that's a bad matchup, you know. So when Dillian White, for example, decided to take that fight, I knew it was a matter of time. I knew that was a kind of a sacrificial lamb type move because nobody else wanted to fight him. Derek Chisora wasn't crazy. He's like, I'm not going in there and taking those shots from him because I pretty much know what's going to happen. This guy's faster, he's sharper, he's more aggressive, and he's accustomed to jumping on you. Okay, and get you out of there early, right? But my problem with Tyson Fury is, you know, he said Usyk first. So, you know, that's his primary focus point. You know, that's his point of interest, Oleksandr Usyk. And he said he'll beat anybody old. Usyk's 38, Josh was 35, Miller, I think, is 36 or 35 or 36. You know, Andy Ruiz, he didn't mention Andy, but, you know, he said anybody that's there. Luis Ortiz, you know, and the number one name that he did not call out or bring up was himself. Was himself. You know, he didn't add himself to the equation that it fits. That circle of people that he was referring to, he belongs in it. It would have been 100% spot on if he didn't leave himself out of the equation. Did you catch that? Did you notice how everybody else that's 35, 36, 37, 38 or older would get destroyed by Moses Itauma except himself? Now, what are the odds of that for getting the elephant in the room when you're referring to a young fighter that you referred to Vladimir Klitschko as a young man's sport? That's why you beat Vladimir Klitschko, but you did not include yourself. Isn't that interesting? I think it's real strange for you to leave out yourself. Now, I know people that, You know, you could be objective and you could counter with, well, he's retired. But, you know, come on, it's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury pretty much does what he wants to. But him saying those type of things about everybody else except himself is, I think it's very tactless, you know, because you are in that circle. You are amongst those guys that were once upon a time, you know, good or whatnot. So he wouldn't do that to you, you know, and you always question anybody that never puts themselves in the same and use themselves as an example. It's kind of hard to believe it's 100% authentic because they don't. And, you know, Tyson Fury didn't. But Moses Itauma right now, you know, of course, we just seen what he did to White. And I think we have a bad habit of applying everyone that that was in White's position or that could be in White's position. They will do the exact same thing that White did, get hit with those same punches, react like Dillian White with the same shots landed. And you think he could just do that with everybody. And that's not the truth. Because how you approach a fight, especially with someone that fast, you would want to pick your shots. Where Dillian White really didn't have time to set up. Of course, I don't even think he was warmed up, to be real. But I will talk more about that in the reflection video. But you guys tell me what you think of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury stating that Moses would whoop Usyk, AJ, and everybody else that's old and knock them right out of the division. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.